Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 11th of June. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and Friday ended up putting a bit of a hammer in following the shooting star on Thursday. I'm still erring on the bullish side towards the daily 50 personally. Still think it's got potential. Now we have, of course, got the FOMC, the Fed meeting this week, and following that on Thursday we've got the ECB meeting. Now both of these, probably the contents of their meetings are sort of priced in unless there's something special amongst it all. Anyway, so how are we looking? Well, let's just tidy up this trend line on here. For now, let's just look at the technicals and the euro. Well, still looking on the upper side, still got the higher lows coming through there on the 4 hourlies. There's little really to change. The big direction still, to me, it broke the trend line. It's still edging up there. Hourly wise, it got a bit savage on Friday, sold off quite strongly. Now we have got get some realism into the market and the potential for today. Well, there's a weekly pivot and a daily pivot and sitting below, and there is a chance we could all see it break this trend line and start selling off, and I would be watching for that. And any positions I've got open, I might even hedge for that a little bit, but we'll see. But it may be a reasonable intraday trade. There is some divergence on this 60-minute as we look at it now, so there's potential for that to roll over and head south towards those 2 points. It may not meet both of them. It may just get to the daily. We'll see. And if it does, there's not much distance to be putting stops in and potentially looking for long. So I'll look at that accordingly. So look at the pound. The pound, well, it's in pure chop mode here, and there's so much mixed data coming out. It's probably not too dissimilar in a sense to the US dollar. It's got some potential still. The problem we have, of course, is the Brexit negotiations and comments, etc. Today we've got manufacturing production. It's the only bit of data really coming out today of any significance at 9:30. So manufacturing production, the rest of the day is all down to itself. So it's got the potential to follow on with what's going on elsewhere. With the euro, it's got the weekly pivot sitting below. I'm just looking at a trend line here. It's still managing to push up as well, so it's still in that bit of a rising trend there. I've put this trend line on the lows of the current 60-minute because it's likely to be broken in the next 11 minutes or so. But as I say, there is the weekly pivot below. It's already caught the daily. Maybe that will just hold it up, and it may continue to chop along, I think, is the answer. Any resistance may come in. You've got the R1 not too far ahead, but to those Thursday's highs there, sitting at 34.69 sort of area, may or the bodies of the highs, that is, may just sort of stifle things. We'll see how we progress. I mean, if this production figure is particularly good, it may give the pound a kicker to get travelling again. Dollar yen seeing some softness through the Asian session there in terms of the yen strength on a daily basis so far. Pushing up, I really don't like it when it's correlated completely with the euro and the pound. I'd rather see it be strengthening, selling off here, but it's just maybe just the unwinding of risk positions. Pushing up at the moment, okay. Well, it's a difficult one to trade for me at the moment because of the imbalance, or as I say, it's not correlated. It should be negatively correlated, and it's almost positive correlated, and makes it difficult in terms of what it's going to do intraday. In the main, it had been running to the downside the last few days of last week, and finding the upside more difficult, which is what we'd expect for the pound and the euro doing the opposite, or certainly the euro managed to do it in the end. But what we're seeing here, well, makes it, as I say, makes it a bit difficult to get the head round, I think. Not saying there aren't trades on it, I'm sure there are, but there's more risk built into the trading it. let alone the risk that it's being played out for. Right, Aussie dollar. Well, Aussie dollar sold off, and again, like a bit like the euro, there put the hammer in on Friday. It's sat onto its weekly pivot, or just around about the weekly pivot at the moment. It's not the clearest of markets any longer. It never was particularly clear. Slightly, it has at times more recently been a little bit more bullish, and just flicking between these time frames so you can see the higher lows kicking through there, although it did completely kill that last week for a little while. For now though, it's maybe just still looking to pitch through if it can. Now, as I say, it's done the daily and weekly, it's done both pivots here. So it's whether if it breaks that 60-minute 15, maybe it will be more on the bullish side. It's sort of setting itself up, although even if it does just pitch over and through double top or whatever else, it may have a slight weaker divergence sitting there. Okay, that's the Aussie, and finally the Canadian dollar, which I struggle to make any sense of late, and you can see why. It's just in a serious chop zone. Now it has gapped up, and there is always the potential to trade the rest of the gap down. It has managed to gap above its weekly pivot, etc. So if we do see some a break of the trend line across the lows here, maybe there's the position to go for the weekly, and maybe the gap fill. What was it doing before it did that gap? Well, come back to the 4 hourly. It was chopping away, so there's possibly the percentage gain that it will fill that gap. Gaps are generally filled in currencies pretty much, but it's not my favourite trade. I'll probably do what I've been doing for a long time now, and just leaving it alone. So there we are. Anyway, it's there for the taking if you want to risk it. That's pretty much it for me. As I said, only news out this morning, just to confirm, is the manufacturing production data coming out at 9:30 for the UK. Have a great day. There'll be plenty of news later on this week. Starting off, actually we've got a little bit tomorrow, but it's mainly Wednesday and Thursday. Have a great one. Bye for now.